Hello and welcome to another episode of Just Be. In our last episode, we talked about catching those lies. In this episode, we talk about cooperating with grace. It has been 5 weeks since our last episode. How come it's that long? Well, I did say that there's a need to catch the lies in one's head. And before we are able to catch those lies, we need to list down the fears that are in the forefront or the result of those lies. So it took me 5 weeks to actually write down the fears that I have. It's not very easy because you need to be honest with yourself and you need to face yourself. So it's a process. I repeat, it's a process that requires patience with oneself. You must not force yourself or pressure yourself like what I did when I started off writing down the fears that I have on my little notebook. The first time I did, I actually came out with, I think, 3 pages long of fears. Can you just imagine? But when I couldn't think of other things, I stopped and then I just let it be. Of course, prior to me to even writing it, to sitting down and writing down the fears, I had to pray to the Holy Spirit for guidance so that I will have the right disposition and that I will be guided accordingly to what I will write down so that there is honesty. Because of course, God knows me better than I know myself. So I need His guidance. So I did not pressure myself to hurry up and just be done with it so that I could have another episode to come out with, as I really schedule it to have every 2 weeks. So I didn't do that because I didn't want to rush things, to just have it done with. And most of all, I practiced self-compassion. We need to do that in every process that we do involving ourselves. Well, courage is very much required in this process too. As with any healing, courage is needed. For the healing of mental illnesses, courage is needed so that one could face oneself. Oftentimes, many people just keep on pushing away all the truth, trying to surface out. And it ends up causing the illness itself that becomes a drag in their life, and some resort to just drinking medication to band-aid it. So there, you need courage, you need self-compassion in this process, you need patience with yourself, and in the process of doing this, you also need to be keen to the movement of God in your life and in what He is communicating to you to do. And throughout this process, I had received a lot of consolations from the Lord through the video and through the people I interact with. And I was assured that this is God's will for me to undergo this process. And this process also requires trust. You see, it's easy for us to say, I believe in God, but never really apply it in our life. When we believe in someone, we have to trust that someone. And when we trust that someone, we not only abandon ourselves to that person, we totally invest ourselves to that person, just like what I have read in the reflection for Sunday in the 18th week in ordinary time. Throughout this process of writing down the fears that I have, I'm really actually halfway through. I am just finished writing down what fears I do have. In the process of simply writing down the fears, I came to realize that God was also working with my trust issues, because honestly, fears arise because of our lack of trust. And God was also asking me to trust Him that this is what He wants me to do. And because this is what He wants me to do, when I go through it, I have to trust that He is with me going through this process. And also, I have to trust that since He trusts me to do this, then I should also trust myself that I will accomplish this and the goals that I have set in place for doing this endeavor in the first place. So, as Heidi Lynn Diaz did say, trust in God and trust in oneself. In this entire process, if I had not been keen to the movement of God in my life, if I had not been cooperating to the grace that He is giving me in this opportunity to heal myself, then I would not be moving forward. And I do hope that you too would cooperate with God's grace in your life, because during August 16th homily of the Manila Cathedral, the priest said, it's when someone wants to be healed, the first thing that you actually have to ask is, does the person want to change himself, to change the reason that caused the illness? If the person does not have the change of heart, healing will not take place. And God is calling that person to make that change. Thus, the need for the person to cooperate with His grace. Otherwise, it will not happen. Miracles, the priest said, miracles do not happen unless we do our part to make that miracle happen. So we need to cooperate with grace. And I do hope you do cooperate with God's grace in your life, so that eventually you can just be. Have a blessed week.